Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night Podcast, a podcast about the stories and relationships board games create. I'm your host, Roy Canny, and with me, as always, is Matt.
Hello.
And Rob.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hype. We made it,
Man, I'm
guys.
excited.
We made it. Just barely, but we made it.
Man.
Hey,
Yeah.
it was
You guys
a team
excited
effort. We all had to work together. It was a cooperative effort to get onto the podcast today.
Whoa. Are you in the Oval Office right now?
Yeah, I messaged where should I put my back, or what should I put for my backdrop, and the very first comment was Oval Office. So I put it as the Oval Office.
Bro,
Is that too much?
you're in the freaking Oval Office.
Too much?
No. We can't talk all political stuff on the show, but I was about to be like, man, Roy for president.
No.
Yeah. Hey,
I'm not
you can't
35
do much
yet.
worse than what we currently have.
I got a few years.
Facts.
Yeah, you got to be at least 35 to be president, by the way, Sue. You got a while.
Got a few years. What was I gonna say?
Lost in Space? Are you guys watching that show?
No, man. I really want to. I just hadn't had the time.
Episode 3 or 4.
Is it good?
It's pretty cool.
What do you think about it so far?
I like it. It's pretty solid.
Nice.
I like it for it's not the greatest show, but
No.
one, it's a show that I don't have to like mute or kick my kids out of the room every episode or something like that. And two, man, I'm really digging like this whole just like this planet and how the planet is so many different hemispheres and craziness and the parawaps and the apswaps are definitely all crossing and mixing and stuff.
Nice.
It's a fun little show. I'm kind of into it right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I feel like there are times where either the writing or the acting doesn't quite hold up, but most of the time it's really pretty good. It's pretty solid. I've just hit that point where I like things that are about like survival.
Yeah.
And then like I feel like the moment you encounter like with Lost, where they're like, hey, we're just trying to live and stuff, and they're like, hey, and then they find, spoiler alert if you haven't watched Lost, they go find the settlement of other people, and I was just like, oh, I'm not interested in this anymore.
Yeah.
I was just like, I just want to watch a show about people trying to live. That's it.
Well,
I'm
tell
a
you,
simple-
I don't like this Dr. Smith.
Yeah, no, that woman is crazy.
That woman is crazy.
Hey, don't do too many spoilers. I haven't seen it yet, so. But I'm excited.
Spoiler alert.
It's fine.
Dr.
You'll find
Smith
out.
is
You'll find
crazy.
out.
Spoiler
immediately.
alert! What? I need to take my headphones off then.
No, you find out rather quick.
Okay.
It's like step 1. Hi, I'm nutty. They're like, oh, good.
Well,
Yeah.
Good to.
Have you guys seen the Lost in Space movie?
Okay, which one?
The
The
newer
one
one
with
or
Joey
whatever?
from Friends?
Yeah.
I have seen that movie.
You don't like it?
Not now. At the time, I was like, wow, this is so great. Look at these special effects.
Yeah, I haven't
Like,
watched it
oh,
since
wow.
back then, so
Yeah, but now it's not,
it doesn't hold up.
yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, today we're going to be talking
board
about
games.
cooperative games.
Hey, real quick, can we talk about cooperatively how Thanos in 10 days is going to destroy the Avengers?
Dude, that's crazy. I saw a thing that was like, you've seen that meme or whatever where it's got like the husband and wife laying in bed and the wife's all like, oh, like, is he thinking about other girls? And then it's got him like thinking about something that's like nothing like that. But there's ones like, it had him thinking, what if at the end of Infinity War, this Thanos just snaps his fingers and everything goes black? So,
Well, I mean, the cool thing is we know it's not that exactly going to happen because they're already filming Avengers 4. But I've already got tickets to see it twice that day.
what? The same day?
Yeah, I'm seeing it in IMAX like
That's
at 1 o'clock in the
awesome.
afternoon. And then I'm going with a friend to go see it like at 9:30 that night. And I tell you what, this reserved seating just makes life so much unstressful. I
Yeah.
love it. Back in the day when I was in love with Twilight, waiting in line with all these teenage girls just talking about Team Jacob or Team Edward. Now, I don't have to care or talk or discuss. I can just walk in and represent whoever I want to represent. It's nice.
Man,
Nice.
now only if they could get it to work with MoviePass, I would be Uh, 10 out of 10 hype.
Isn't MoviePass about to get a competitor?
I don't know. I haven't even. I've used mine like 4 times.
Bro,
I'm just throwing money out the window at this point.
did you hear what Boeing's doing?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I know we're a podcast about board games. Sorry, I'm just in a good mood. Boeing said that they're going to send a rocket into space and go get Elon Musk's Tesla 2 that's floating around right now that he launched off in February.
Do it.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, we're going to go get it. And we're going to beat Tesla to Mars.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, Boeing. I don't think they're going to do it per se, but I like this little smack talk of, science nerds. Like, I'm going to get your car and I'm going to put my car up there.
I think they're slowly realizing that no longer can we be dependent on governments to advance science. The companies are going to have to do it. So they're like, well, let's get to it, I guess.
Yeah.
Nice.
Competition is good.
And Elon's always talking smack with those other companies too, like freaking do it.
Dude's a beast. He's sleeping on his floor right now on the manufacturing site's floor. Knocking out, man. I'll give him credit. The guy works, and he appears to walk the walk as well as talk the talk. That's one thing that I appreciate about a CEO of his caliber, even like a Mark Zuckerberg. Whether you like him or not, the man works. I mean, he's going to town. He's doing his stuff. Elon Musk, he works. He's not like one of those guys who just sits back and collects the checks and does the presentation. I'm all excited for it. So,
nice.
Man, it's pumped. Aren't you guys pumped? We're gonna play board games in space.
Got to get magnetic boards to keep the pieces on.
They're talking about having a hotel in space by 2022.
Nice.
Like that floats the orbit of the Earth, and you can rent rooms and stuff. Imagine we went up there. What do you think? All right, quick.
Then we could experience an Apple apps
what
and
would be
Perry
the
apps
first board game played in space?
firsthand. We can be like, okay, this is the top of the orbit and the bottom of the orbit.
Yeah,
we'll come full circle.
Should the first game in space be XCOM?
Well, honestly, if it's 2022, hopefully it's Lost in Space, or whatever its new title is.
You're talking about the new.
I bet I can tell you the title. Just let me go bring up our podcast. I forgot what he said because he said it like once, and then Rob kept being like, "What was that? What was that?"
Yeah.
Oh man, it was so much fun.
You know what? That game will probably come out by then.
Hopefully. I think that's one of the games I'm excited for this year.
Awesome.
I believe Colby, because he said this year was going to be a big year for them, and I know he can't say a lot of stuff.
He said that they're basically having 2 years worth of releases in 1 year because basically everything got pushed back. So now they're piling stuff on top of other stuff, which sounds awesome to me. Games. Should be great. So yeah, hey, let's get into the news. First thing on the news is a game that I know Rob is super excited about, and I'll probably let him just take it away, but that is Zombicide Invader.
Zombicide Invaders, man. Now, I am super excited about this game. And yes, it's another Zombicide game. If you did not know, I'm a fan of Zombicide. I absolutely love it. I'm super excited for it. But what has me so pumped for this game so far, besides the artwork, I love the tiles on this one. I don't know what it is, but just like that Martian, Mars, red, Earth, clay, and stuff like that, I'm super excited for the tiles. It's almost to me like a cross between Zombicide and the others, where it's like that harsh red and that grittiness. But there's 2 things I'm really excited about for this game on this Zombicide. One, they have this thing that is coming out with the Zombicide on this one where mold. So the zombies, they will leave this mold residue behind.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
And it will actually destroy the base, and it'll make part of the bases uninhabitable. So not only do you have to run through hordes of zombies to be able to get through your objective, but if you don't clear out the zombies, you may not be able to go back. What?
Have they gotten to a level where you unlock 3D mold yet, as far as the Kickstarter goes?
Probably not. To be completely honest, they're probably going to have that as something that you buy.
Yeah.
and whatnot.
Because I'm like,
Uh,
it looked like it would be a cool thing as like a terrain piece or something like that.
oh yeah, yeah, I think it'll be great. But I love the concept of the board getting smaller if you don't
Oh
handle the
yeah, yeah.
situation.
Oh,
Because
and you
some
can
people
also
when
get
they
like
play,
flamethrowers and like burn the mold off, right?
yes, yes, you can. But my other favorite part about Kumani, well, three things. So I take it back. There's not just two. They're also including equipment in this one. Like you have a big sentry gun, and then you have like this crawler robot thing
Yeah.
that you can use and destroy stuff. That looks super cool to me. It actually kind of reminds me a little bit of Level 7 Omega Protocol, where one of the guys, I think he was like the big firepower guy. He could come with this sentry gun, and you could leave it in a hallway, and it takes stuff out. And also, you'll see that a lot too in Star Wars Imperial Assault, where they'll have like the little weapons set up if you ever play the Empire. So those look really cool because we haven't necessarily had vehicles. Vehicles started coming into Zombie side. Granted, they had the cars and the other ones, but
Yeah,
the
yeah.
vehicles didn't start coming into Zombie side until recently, until Green Horde released with these ballistas and the trebuchets and stuff, which we're still
Gotcha.
waiting on that to come in. However, though, my Green Horde came in, the base pledge, and it came with trebuchets, so that's cool. But beyond that, I love how Cool Mini or Not just does not care, and they literally took a picture of Will Smith, put sunglasses on him, and now that's one of the stretch goals that is
What's its
unlocked.
name?
It is Will Smith with glasses on. And I'm not even crazy about Will Smith. He's not even the person that I'm excited about in the stretch goals. It's Dr. White. Um, I'm excited about that. But man, some of these stretch goals for the nerd in me, they have. Do you guys remember the movie District 9?
Yeah, yeah.
Great science fiction movie. Did you ever see that, Matt?
Yeah.
District 9, phenomenal. Those bugs, those creatures, they're in here. They have got Marty and Doc
That's awesome.
from Back to the
Back to the
Future in
Future.
here. They have Morpheus from Matrix, which I'm absolutely loving that we're seeing Morpheus from the Matrix on here.
It's so crazy
They
how
also
they
have-
like make a figure look like a specific character or actor or person or thing, and they're just like, oh, we'll just change the name something different.
That's all
And
they do. It's literally
it's
a
only
like
a
for like-
stretch goal, so it's not like they're really like selling it. It's kind of like a free add-on to the game,
Yes.
but it still makes the
And
hype
it is
go up.
it
for
is literally a likeness. It's a like for like. Like I see Morpheus, I know that is Lawrence Fishburne. That is nobody else but Lawrence Fishburne. And then up here, you've got Tina Turner for Mad Max Fury Dome, just sitting there rocking with the big earrings and everything and the big puffy hair. Like, come on! And they're not even trying to hide it. There's Harrison Ford from Blade Runner. He's just sitting there looking at me right now. Richard Kindred, just rocking it out like. Also they have freaking Starbuck from Battlestar Galactica, the new one, on here. It's just I'm super excited for these stretch goals. I think I'm more excited for the stretch goals than I am for the game. I love these characters. I like just for the zombie side, Green Horde. I'm so excited for when all of the Stranger Things cast get in.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I really
I'm
want
just-
to see like 11 and all them in a game. Would be pretty interesting.
But all of that stuff is just it's looking great. It doesn't look like so many new mechanics outside of the mold mechanic that they put into the game. But again, if you're a Zombicide fan, for me it was an instant. It was an instant backing, and I'm pretty excited. And a side note for those in chat talking about A Quiet Place, I did see it, and it was freaking awesome.
Oh, nice.
Man, it was so good.
I was wondering.
So, did you see it, Matt?
I've heard good things.
I have not seen it yet. I
Bro,
want to see
it's not scary. It's intense.
it. Okay.
Yeah, it's not scary. Like, yes, the monsters
Oh yeah,
jump
Matt's
out,
not into
but you
the
can
whole
tell.
thriller
You can
thing.
tell that when they're going to jump out, but it's more intense. It's like, please make it. Please run to here. Like, please. It's like intense, like Jurassic Park was at first.
Yeah.
Like not scary, just that. But anyway, sorry. So yeah, that's Zombicide Invader. That should be shipping by 2021. So it's gonna be a lot of fun when it eventually comes out. No, it'll be shipping before 2021. I've just kind of given up all hope when it comes to.
It'll come. It'll come someday.
It'll come sometime in 2019. It says May. They could do the base game early. You know, I'm actually pretty excited about that with Cool Mini or Not. They did the base game early for Green Horde, and they're talking about doing some stuff for Song of Ice and Fire and some of their other games, and so I'm appreciative of that. So we'll see. I like it because it's not like that pledge level like we did for Nemesis or Lords of Hellas. Pay extra to get it early. No, they're just like, hey, our base games are done. We're shipping them out to you. Here you go. Like, I didn't have to pay any extra for two-wave shipping or anything like that. It was just, nope, here you go.
I think that stuff gets kind of annoying.
It does get kind of annoying, especially for me, when I did the one-wave shipping where I want everything coming in one wave, and now everything's been pushed back 6 to 9 months. And so my copy that was actually supposed to be here already, because it was originally, the first wave was supposed to ship in November. The second wave was supposed to ship like in February, March. Now everything is not, first wave is not going to complete their orders until like November of this year.
Yeah.
And so, but anyway, I appreciate that from Cool Mini or Not. The good thing, though, also about Cool Mini or Not compared to other companies is they are big enough to be able to do that. They are big enough to be able to fit that need.
And it's always fun to get that ridiculously oversized Cool Mini or Not box in the mail. It's just like, holy smokes, and it's just slap full of miniatures. I remember getting Rising Sun, and it's just like, what? And I'm pretty sure when you've gotten a bunch of your other ones, they're even bigger than that, you know, just gigantic boxes of minis.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, the next thing on the news is Mansions of Madness Mother's Embrace. This is a video game version of Mansions of Madness that Asmodee Entertainment is bringing out, or Fantasy Flight Entertainment is bringing out. And it's actually a video game re-implementation of Mansions of Madness. Like, Mansions of Madness uses an app for the game or whatever. This is taking the board game part of that out and just making it straight up a video game. And I thought it was kind of interesting. It looks kind of interesting. I really like Mansions of Madness, and I've played it solo several times, but I was wondering what you guys thought of this. They just announced this today. Where they're actually going to make a video game version of Mansions of Madness.
I'll let Matt go first.
I don't know. I saw the announcement, but I didn't actually look at any of this stuff to see like sort of what type of game it is.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot, and it looks similar to Mansions of Madness, like the same characters and things like that. And
right, but is it more like a video game version of the board game, or is it like a standalone thing that just uses the IP that's going to be a different style of game altogether?
Let's see. It mostly like, it looks like, I mean, they're saying that it's out on Steam. Do you dare to enter? Asmodee Digital and Fantasy Flight Games are proud to announce the release of this video game. I mean, they're just saying it's a video game. But I mean, it's not, I don't think it's a direct implementation of the board game, but it's going to be very kind of close, because I mean, even like some of the rooms, like they have pictures of some of these rooms, and they look like 3D renders or like 3D reimagining of those specific, like I recognize those tiles from the game, you know. It's like, oh yeah, that room is in the board game. Like, I've seen that. So it seems kind of interesting. For me personally, I think it looks cool, and I probably like to mess with it. But I'm also scared that like the working on this and things like that will make it so that they don't put out as much for the actual board game itself. I mean, maybe they're completely different departments and they're not like related other than like working out like storylines and things like that. It's like, I would rather have more DLC expansions for the stuff I already have for Mansions of Madness than like a video game version that is completely separate from that. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think, Rob?
I don't know, man. It's one of those IPs that I just love. The thing that bothers me about it is that it's coming out on Steam.
So it has to be on the computer?
Well, yeah, I'm not a big computer gamer. I know I could just buy like the Steam controller and stuff, and that would take care of a lot of my issues. I hate like games like DayZ or other things like that where you have to use your keyboard for moving. I know for a lot of people, like that's the best, and it's very, it's almost
I want to
better
see
because
Matt
you
fight
know
you.
how
No, I'm
sensitive that you
kidding.
can be with it. But for me, I grew up with a controller in hand, right? Like when I played computer games, they were RTSs.
Yeah.
You know, so everything was done with your mouse. So I'll still probably check it out. And I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited for the new edition that just came out for Mansions of Madness
Oh
for
yeah,
the board game.
the
Um,
silver
yeah,
Twilight Lodge one or whatever.
but I'm excited though. They have a Cthulhu video game coming out, like a legit like PS Xbox Cthulhu video game. It may be coming out like this summer. That looks
Nice.
super scary, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of Mansions of Madness or the Eldritch Horror universe. But
Nice.
anyway, we'll see. We will see.
Awesome.
I mean, I'll play it. I'm excited.
So this is interesting. The developer of the game is a company called Lucky Hammers, which seems to work exclusively with Asmodee Digital,
Hmm.
because they have another thing that's out, which is Terraforming Mars.
Oh yeah. I saw that recently got released.
Um,
Yeah, how's that coming out? I mean, what are they going to do with that game? I mean, is that going to be
It's
like
funny
a
because the
RTS?
pictures I've seen
that
of the
it looks
Terraforming Mars
exactly-
game. Yeah, Terraforming Mars is like a complete like just taking the board game and putting it onto digital or whatever. But the digital renders I've seen from this like actually look better than the actual game, so or than the board game. So
Yeah, all the pictures I'm seeing are like pre-alpha build stuff, which is so-so. But I don't know. It's interesting. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
it's definitely interesting to see board games branching into video game stuff. I don't know. It's crazy. Awesome. Well, the other thing I wanted to mention on here, just because it's kind of funny, Crystal, who's part of Favorite Game Friday and also is part of our D&D game, The Epic Tales of Misplaced Meeples, is doing Dice Tower Tonight now with like she's an official host of Dice Tower Tonight. I thought it was kind of funny because of scheduling stuff, they are doing Dice Tower Tonight like right now at this time. I thought it was kind of funny. I was like, hey, we're just gonna
don't
like
leave. Continue watching us.
don't
please.
leave. But hey, I was just going to show their live stream while we're streaming just because I thought it would be funny. And I was like, oh, we could do Mystery Science Theater and just make fun of everything they're saying. But yeah, it's awesome for Crystal to be able to do that stuff and things like that. So, but hey,
Yeah.
I mean,
And also very unfortunate because she's going to miss bar trivia. But, you know.
I know, right? She was like,
All right.
man, I wish that we didn't have to do it this night, but that was the only time Eric was available and stuff like that. And I was like, she better still
Yeah.
be in our chat. But you know how it is. You know how it is. Good times, good times. But hey, we're going to talk about cooperative games, and it's going to be awesome.
Hey, real quick, I have a question about cooperative games. So, can a game like Blood Rage, where we all gang up on somebody, be a cooperative game because we all
that does not
work
count.
together?
What about Captain Sonar?
I almost put that on my list. That's an honorable mention.
I feel like
I have
that's
that-
more of
that
a
is totally a
team
co-op game in
but
my
it's
opinion.
real close, you know? But
That's
I-
a co-op game. You have
I
two
didn't-
big teams
I didn't-
working completely together.
I didn't put it in there, and the only reason I didn't is because it opens it up to be like, well, Werewolf is a cooperative game,
right.
and one Ultimate Warrior.
I think it's
And
just a
I
team
guess
game, so
technically it would be true, but that would mean technically every social deduction is a team game. In which case, all of my list would be social deduction games.
right, exactly. So I mean, that's
I
why
also
you kind
thought
of
that.
have to,
Like, can we put Murder in Hong Kong in there? Because, like,
No.
are we not?
those are team games.
I didn't. But I was thinking, like,
If you
well,
go
we're
on
working
Board Game
together.
Geek and we're like, hey,
Who made
what's
them
cooperative
the
games?
board game, judges, the aficionados? We should start our own Epic Gaming Geek.
well, when
Yeah.
they
Blood Rage is
they just
isometric.
have a database, and when the publisher puts the game up, they
We'll just
can
put all the
select
games
that's actually
as
cooperative.
area control, unless they're like super Euro.
Say what?
We'll just mark all the games as area control, unless
Everything's
they're like
area
super
control now?
Euro. Yeah.
I mean, there's a
That's
lot of Euro games that are area control, like legitimately area control. Anyway, hey, but before that, do we have anything that we've been playing that we want to talk about?
um, we didn't talk last week because we had Kobe on the show about what we were playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We played a bunch of awesome stuff.
We did. Um, I have not played anything since then. I know you and I played Crystal Clans.
Yeah, we talked about Crystal Clans a ton on the show.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched our last week's episode where we talked to Colby about Crystal Clans, it was definitely a blast. So make sure to check that out.
It's a lot of fun. I ended up ordering a copy after you and I got done playing it. It's a cool game, man. So yeah, I think I'm gonna pass. I can't remember.
Matt, I know you played a couple games. Hopefully, I don't actually know your opinion. I actually want to know because we played Lords of Hellas for the first time.
Yeah.
For Matt for the first time. And this is a game that he owns and Rob's got coming in the mail and Hector owns.
2020, baby.
Trevor has a copy.
It's coming.
But yeah, I'm wondering your thoughts on the game overall.
I actually really liked it.
Yeah.
I thought it was a lot of fun. There's a bunch of stuff to do, so you don't feel like sort of pigeonholed into like, oh, I need to make a grab for land, or oh, I need to do this, or oh, I need to do that. There's a lot of different ways that you can accumulate the things that you need to be victorious. And there's a decent amount of stuff that you can do to try and block your opponents. And I feel like when we played with 4, the board was just full of stuff. Like Adam would love this game because there's just stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
And it was really something that I thought was fantastic to look at just because it was very, very pretty. But I mean, the board felt full. It felt like everything that we were doing sort of had a meaningful impact on the game. I really like it. I like the artwork. I like just a lot of the stuff that the game does. I'm trying to remember some specifics, but my mind is blanking currently. But yeah, I mean, overall, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, one of the cool things about it is that there's multiple paths to victory. So that makes it super interesting because you can win by getting 5 temples, or you can win by owning like 2 giant areas, almost like continents worth of stuff, but they're kind of connected still. So two big areas of land. Or you can win by defeating 3 monsters, or you can win by if there's like these god statues that each time someone like basically ends the round or like refreshes everyone's board, it gets built up. So if they get built all the way up, whoever controls that area at the end of 3 turns after it's been built all the way up wins the game. So you have like this rush to try to take over that one area or whatever. So but yeah, it's definitely interesting. I'm gonna play the game and try to slowly win every single way. I'm just kidding.
I think the thing that I really liked about it was how when you're hunting monsters and stuff, it gives you one of the opponents at the table gets to control the monster. So at first we were just kind of like, oh yeah, cool, we'll do this, we'll do that, yeah, and whatever. And then I was the one killing a lot of monsters, so it started to get to the point where they're like, no, we're gonna kill him. Like, forget about this. We need to. And I just thought it was really cool to have like that sort of mechanic where your opponents are still doing things when you're in a relatively solo space of the board, and can still try to mess you up by playing cards that are just really gonna wreck you, or all that stuff. I also liked that whenever the monument was built up a little bit more and it refreshed all of your priests, you drew some event cards that added new things to the board, whether it be new events, new quests, or new monsters and stuff like that. And that was something that's really interesting that should, in theory, keep the games to be fresh and interesting and different each time. And I know when the other stuff arrives, there is, I think, a 5th player expansion. There's 2 new gods that have a bunch of new things. There's a new board that has a new map on both sides, I think. So there's really a lot of replayability whenever it gets here.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the new stuff come out as well.
There's
So
a
it should
there's a
it should be
ton.
super fun. It was one of those things that I definitely was like, oh, man, I backed this, and I don't know if it's something that I'm going to like, And then after playing it, I was like, oh no, this is good. I'm glad I got this. This is
Yeah.
solid.
Nice. Yeah, our game was pretty interesting because like we all had taken over a lot of the board and things like that, and we were all doing a little bit of stuff, we all had like big areas. I kind of liked it more at 4 players more than 3 because I felt like with 3, 2 people could get into like fighting each other, and then the other person just runs away with it. But with 4, there's a little bit of an opportunity where other people could keep people in check. But I kind of did the sneaky play of taking over I'd been going to try to get a bunch of the temples like the whole time, because if you get temples you get to level up your hero. So I was like, I'm just going to get a bunch of temples, level up my hero so I can move more people around, so I can get better strength, then eventually maybe I'll fight monsters or whatever. And I got to the point where I'm like, I have 3 temples, I need 2 to win, and I like set myself up to where I could take one from Trevor, but then I also had a power where I could take another one from Trevor. So literally I'm just like, I saw that like if I did specific things I could like win the game, and I'm just like, that's interesting. And then I like had to go put my kids to bed, and I came back and it was my turn, and I'm like, oh man, Trevor actually made it easier for me to win this, because he had a whole bunch of people set on one of the temples, and he thought I was attacking a different area because I was adjacent to 2 different areas. So he moved all of his people out of the temple and moved them over to the other area because it was where the god thing was, and it was the one that was closest to being built fully. So I guess he's like, oh, maybe he's going to make a push for that and then try to control it so that way he can have it once it gets fully built. But no, I was going for the temples and ended up just ending the game. And everybody's like, well, that's the end of the game. I'm like, I'm sorry, guys, but I had to do it.
Yeah, that was the one.
And did you get to 2 monsters, Matt, or were you just at 1?
No, I got to 2.
Right, so it's like, honestly, I probably need to do it because you were getting really good at doing those monsters. If I didn't do it, you were gonna find the last one and make it happen.
And I think I had enough speed on the next turn to get over to it, but I wouldn't have been able to fight it because I needed to refresh my board.
Right.
But
or somebody could have refreshed your board for you. Who knows? Because that often happens too.
But yeah, it was a really fun game. That was probably my one complaint, was there were a lot of moving pieces, so it does require you to pay attention to it a decent amount.
Yeah.
There's a ton coming out with this game.
Yeah. So like one of the things, like Roy won because he had an artifact that let him just literally move to any place on the board, and I don't think any of us knew he had that.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things that like you draw so many cards and you have stuff out in front of you, and you've got these different powers and stuff like that, and you're like, oh man, this is really cool. And it could just be because it was my first time playing. I just wasn't paying attention to anybody else's stuff because
it's really hard to.
There's a lot going on.
Everybody had lots of powers. Like everybody had lots. So, because we had built tons of temples, and whenever you build certain amounts of temples, then everybody just gets powers. Like everybody does. Doesn't matter if you built the temple or not. You might be later in the draft or whatever for that. So, but it was crazy.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
But yes, that's Lords of Hellas. I did get a chance. I'll just talk about this real quick. I did get a chance to play Fiasco Sunday night. I did a live stream with the guys from Game All Night. They hosted and put together a Fiasco game, and we were playing on it was kind of like a Titanic themed game of Fiasco, where we're on a ship and we're trying to do different needs and different things like that. Fiasco is definitely a very interesting
favorite
game.
rocket ship?
Yeah, it was like an Arctic ship that may or may not have hit an iceberg while we were playing, but it's like supposed to be a predecessor to the Titanic and things like that. So that's going through the Arctic. It was called the Leviathan, but it was pretty cool. It's really just like an improv story game. I wouldn't even really call it a role-playing game because you're not really like leveling up or changing your character as much as you would in something that I would typically call a role-playing game, but you are just playing a character and improving and building a story, and it's very loose as far as the rules and stuff go, so you just pick. Oh, and another thing that makes it different is you just set up different scenes and different things, and you pick which other players are going to be in that scene with you, and then someone else is like the director of that scene, and they basically say whether the scene is going to go good or whether the scene is going to go bad for the character that that started the scene. And the person who started the scene can normally like choose what time frame, and you can kind of like jump into the future and start a scene, or you can like do scenes in the past, or you can like continue with a scene that's kind of already happened, so you're like working together, jumping forward and backwards in the future to create a story together. And I think it turned out pretty crazy. We also had Pep from Watch It played with us, and then Crystal also joined us for that as well, so we had a full group of people, and it was pretty crazy. It is pretty long. I didn't realize that this game's like 5 hours to play. But it was a lot of fun. It was definitely very tiring, but in the end it ended out pretty fun. So if anybody wants to check that out, that's on Game All Night's channel. But have you ever looked at Fiasco, Matt?
Yeah, it's a game that I've wanted to play for a while because they played a game of it on tabletop long ago, and I thought it was a really interesting looking game. But I don't think any of us have it, right?
No, I mean it's literally just like a small little book.
Yeah,
honestly, they've got all the modules for Fiat. Like there's a bunch of like just where I think it's fan made modules online. Like you could literally just be like, okay, fan made module, let's just pick this or whatever. Because we just all downloaded the PDF for the module that we're playing, and we didn't know that we needed to. We did it like right as we were starting. We're like, okay, here it is. Okay, this is what. Because at the beginning you create your characters by setting up relationships with the other characters. So like you set up relationships with the person to the right and left. And like for mine, me and Pep were like old heroes or old friends from the Great War. And then mine and Crystal's, because I was in between Pep and Crystal, mine and Crystal's was like intrigue. So like we weren't like friends or anything like that. But it just said that like I had to like be
aggressive. Be aggressive.
Exactly. Yeah. I was. It's like, who is this person and why are they in your closet was the answer. And we had to figure out a way to work that into the story. So it's kind of like, it turned out pretty interesting. So, but yeah, it just gives you all sorts of weird hooks that you have to try to figure out how to work that in. So, but it's
cool.
Very open-ended.
It definitely seems like one of those things to me that like it plays very well with people who especially like movies or are really into like making a scene. So there's a guy that I watch who does DMing and stuff, and he does a lot of different like just role-playing games and stuff. But he always has this interesting narrative approach to describing stuff where he's like, oh yeah, man, and like at this point it's probably one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, well the camera sort of pans out and looks at your character a bit weird and like you do this thing and it's just like, yeah. And like that Fiasco seems like very much a game where you're just like, let's design a small movie that's basically the Kingsman, right?
Yeah.
Where it's just sort of crazy, off the wall stuff's happening, and it's like a really interesting collaborative experience. So
were those good?
Haven't seen them.
But you brought it up.
I've heard they are good, and I need to. I just haven't gotten around to it. I still have that stack of things in my
I bet games of Fiasco with Rob would be off the wall.
Yeah, man, it'd be great.
Rob would make it awesome.
I'd probably make up some crazy stuff.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because in Fiasco isn't like role playing games have a lot more rules. Fiasco is just like, oh yeah, just force things to happen, you know, because you literally just say what happens. Like you're not like doing checks or tests.
We should do it as a con meetup thing. Like if
that
we
would
meet up
pretty
like
fun.
bunch
Yeah,
of
that's good.
because like you don't need any table or anything. We can all just like sit around and then just start telling our story.
You just need D6s.
Yeah.
So and you don't even need that many of those.
D6s. We could pass out our Epic Gaming Night D6s.
Yeah.
I was gonna say there's no shortage of D6s at a con. So
yeah.
Nice. Cool. We might have to try to do that sometime. I might try to get like the actual rule book. I don't think it could be. I mean, it's tiny. It's like really small. So
I think I've had it on my Amazon wish list for years, and I think it's always like $20-25.
Gotcha.
At like the high end usually.
Cool. Awesome. But yeah, lots of fun playing Fiasco. Super crazy game. Cool. Well, I guess we should get into our top 10 cooperative games, seeing that's why we're here. But before we get into our actual top 10 list, are there any specific honorable mentions that aren't on you guys' lists that you really would like to shout out there? And who knows, they might be on each other's lists as we do it.
Should
I have a
them?
couple that I'm not going to mention because I think they're going to be on your lists.
Gotcha. Well, I got a couple that I'm really not sure.
Never mind, and I won't miss in any of my honorable mentions because I know they're on yours.
Cool.
Yeah.
One of mine that I'm not sure, it could be on someone's, but Stuffed Fables, I think, is a really good cooperative game. And I really like it, but I don't know if it's high enough for my top 10. But it would probably be in my kids' top number 1, you know. But Stuffed Fables is a great cooperative game. Also, Unlock and the Escape Room games.
Yeah.
I didn't put them on my top 10 list, but I think they're great for cooperative experiences. And then besides that, I also have Gloomhaven as an honorable mention. I think Gloomhaven's great. I just haven't played it enough to be like, oh, this is my top 10, and I don't know that I will ever actually own the game. But if I played it more, and maybe if they had like a less grindy way to play the game, it'd probably make it even higher. It'd make it onto my list, you know. Cool.
Some of my honorable mentions, I put the Grizzled down. I think that's a fun, quick co-op game.
Yeah.
I also put Betrayal at House on the Hill. Those are fun. Another honorable mention, Flip Ships.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think of Flip Ships. Flip Ships is fun.
Flip Ships is fun. But it was an honorable mention. It's not a top 10 for me. And then I've got a couple of others, but I'll wait on saying them.
Cool.
So boom.
Awesome. Well, hey, Matt, start us off with your number 10.
My number 10.
Number 10.
Xenoshift.
I want to play that so bad.
Deck builder from Cool Mini or Not. It's pretty good. It's pretty fun. I think Legendary is a better deck builder, in my opinion, all around. But Xenoshift has this really interesting way of making you feel sort of terror and panic.
Yeah.
So, like, Legendary, I feel like we play Legendary. It's like a fun collaborative experience. You're like, dude, what if Black Panther teamed up with Moon Knight, and then the crazy Devil and the Captain from Secret Wars, and then they're fighting the Skrulls, or something. And you're like, yeah, this would be great. This would be cool. And it's like it's a really cool experience that way. But there are very few times that I felt like we've had like a genuine challenge beating that game.
You mean we just lose sometimes?
Yeah, I mean sometimes we either like that's the thing. Most of the time we win, and if we do lose, it's very hard.
Yeah,
like you're literally like turn 3, you're like, oh god, Thanos is at like 25, and we pick Spider-Man, so they only have like 1 attack point. So this is groovy. But Xenoshift does a really good job of like making you go, oh no, everything's bad all the time. This is, whoo boy, and that's something that's really fun and interesting to me. Plus the artwork on it is phenomenal. So it's just a really good game if you want to get down and hunt some aliens in a swamp or whatever the original setting is. So it's my number 10.
Nice. Rob, what's your number 10?
My number 10 is the Pandemic series. Just all the Pandemic games. I played several different versions of the Pandemic games. I think they are a fantastic co-op. Not only just as a co-op, but a good entry level game on the base Pandemic game. I would love to get in the Pandemic Legacy Season 2. But those are games that I've really enjoyed. I was thinking about this list, like, all right, how many games on my list? Because I had over 20 games that I put down. But how many times on these games have I passed up the opportunity to play one of these games? And so all the games in my top 10, whenever I was asked to play this game in particular or a game like this, I never passed it up. And so my number 10, the Pandemic Legacy or the Pandemic series.
Nice.
Yeah.
My number 10 is a crazy overproduced game, but I really enjoy it, and I really want to play more. I want to finish it out, but that is Mechs versus Minions. This is a cooperative game, but you're doing like real-time programming. It gives me like a Robo Rally feel, but just like completely cooperative. And I really like the fact that like all the guys have powers, and they're just like stomping these little miniatures to death all over the place. And there's just tons of like interesting stuff in the game, how like different story elements unfold as you're going through the different like dossier envelope things, and you unlock more cards. It's like a pseudo legacy game, but like nothing gets ripped up or like ruined. You could technically put it all back in all the folders and it would be completely reset, but you're playing through the scenarios and unlocking stuff as you go. And some of this, like playing this game, sometimes I was just completely floored by like how the game was. So definitely my number 10 is Mechs versus Minions, an awesome cooperative programming game that I need to play more.
Yeah. Yeah, that was Mechs vs. Minions was in my honorable mentions because I haven't played it enough that I feel like it would make it into my list. I'm pretty sure it would, but I've only played it once or twice. And while I did have a good time, I just didn't feel comfortable going, I only played it once, number 9, you know.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I've played it a bunch, but I just haven't gotten, I think I'm up to like scenario 5 or whatever, which is only like halfway through the game. So I really want to play through it more. But I've played some of the scenarios multiple times with different groups, so...
I will say this, that I have some games higher on my list that I have not played as much as others, but I freaking love them.
Yeah.
So just to clarify.
Nice. So Matt's what's your number 9?
My number 9 is a game that Rob has already mentioned, Flip Ships. It is just a super fun little co-op game. I was trying to find dexterity games to shove in here because, you know, it's not very often that dexterity games are co-op. And I didn't put Junk Art in because it can be either or. So I was like, let me not hedge. But Flip Ships is cooperative through and through and is really a blast. It gives you that good old Space Invader feel.
Yeah, I'd like to play Flip Ships more.
One of those games. Yeah, it's one of those games that I feel like gets people really hype at the table.
You need to play Flip Ships at 3:30 in the morning after you've been up for 30+ hours.
Yeah, man. When you're just like drunk with sleepy, that's great.
When it's just like the last game of the night.
Flip Ship Shotgun, where you put all of your ships on the thing at once and flip them all at the same time. It was funny because there were several people that said that was like the best game of the entire like live stream thing, and it wasn't on the schedule. Like me and Rob were just like, let's play Flip Ships, you know. We don't got time for this other stuff. We're just gonna play Flip Ships. I'm like, I'll teach you how to play Flip Ships, Rob. And Rob's like, okay, let's do it. So we forced Flip Ships in there, and that was
we had to like kill 45 minutes before the shift change, and so
it
we're
was
like,
literally Epic Gaming Night's fault that Flip Ships was in there. Like, because it was not planned at all, even a little bit.
It was my copy that I brought.
Too. We got it out of the trunk and popped it, and then put it on the table, and we're like, we're in charge now. Let's play Flip Ships. And people were like, best game of the entire thing. I was just like, what?
Yeah, man. that game is solid. Like, you really can't beat it. It's real good.
Nice.
It's a fun game. It was an honorable mention for me. Right. My number 9 is one that was already mentioned, and that is Mechs versus Minions.
Nice.
Played Mechs and Minions several times with you guys and with other people. Man, it is probably one of the best bang for your buck deals that you can get as a board game.
It's stupid.
It really is the amount of game you get for the money. It is a compact, full game with beautiful miniatures, all for under $100. Now, it's not a lot under $100, but still, you get all of that stuff with the quality and everything for under $100. Great game, a lot of fun, great co-op, and it's a complete co-op. And I love the silliness of the story, and I also love how the producers went the extra mile, and they made those audio files that you can go look up to talk to you about it. So my number 9, Mechs and Minions.
Nice.
Or Mechs versus Minions, sorry.
My number 9 is the fastest playing game on my list by far, and that is 5 Minute Dungeon. This is a great, super quick, cooperative, like slam cards out on the table game. It's kind of crazy because I feel like I was one of the first people to ever like recognize or do anything with this game, because it was a first-time publisher, and this dude I guess had made apps and stuff before, but he sent me a prototype version of the game to do the Kickstarter for, and like I loved it. I'm like, man, this is amazing. And we played a ton of it. We played it at Mace, we played it all over the place, and I really
and there's
enjoyed
supposed to be a 5-minute Avengers coming out, right?
Yeah, and they've made it to the point where I guess Spin Master had bought the game or whatever, and 5-minute Avengers is coming out where you're going to be playing the Avengers and facing off against Thanos and stuff like that. Man, I mean, I feel like it's probably going to be pretty much the same game, just reskinned, but I mean, I'll buy it.
That's exactly what it's going
to
be.
It's gonna have to happen. Like, I want to play as Captain America throwing out unibeams at the bad guys, you know. But yeah, so 5-minute Dungeon is super quick, super filler, but a great cooperative game. And there's a lot of games that could fit into this category where they're like quick, but some of them just stress me out too much. This game is fun and it's stressful, but it's not like I don't care as much, you know. I mean, I could play something like XCOM or even Escape Curse of the Temple, which is on my honorable mentions list, but 5-minute Dungeon's the one that definitely makes my list.
XCOM was an honorable mention for me as well.
Cool. Number 8, Matt.
Oh, God, I got to pull my list up. Number 8 is XCOM, the game Rob just mentioned.
Nice.
I really like that game a lot, simply because the app takes control of everything. So it really gives you an interesting sense of narrative pacing and progression and challenge, and it scales. It should be accordingly. I don't know how exactly it does. Sometimes it gets a little rough and it gets a little challenging, and you're like, oh man, we're never going to win, and you probably aren't. But you still have a good time doing it.
That's true. It's one of those games where things start falling apart and they're gone.
Yeah, it gives you tension and anxiety in a good way. Like, not in the, I'm not, It fills you with all those warm, fuzzy feelings that you really hate to have, and it allows you to get them out in a way that is, I guess, healthy. Because most of the time we're just sitting there, and then Roy's got the phone up, and then he's just like, all right, tech stuff, here we go, listen up, next up. And we're like, yeah. And he's like, put out 8 ships, what? And we're all like, no. And it's fantastic every time. So
maybe I need to switch my roll up or something like that.
I think we've always played basically the same roles, and the reasoning was just so we could actually maybe have a chance of winning.
Yeah, maybe one of us could get good of our roles that we're currently doing.
Hey, listen, the one time I was the commander, we won.
There you
go. Boom. It's a fun game. It's a stressful game. It didn't make my list because I did not play it enough.
Yeah.
But I did.
I think I played it enough. It's set on my shelf for over a year, and I haven't had the desire to put it back on the table. Like, I mean, I have a lot of games, and there's a lot of games that I want to play, but XCOM, I'm just like, it hurts me to think about playing it. Is that wrong?
No. Well, I promised for my list, I did not give my list to Roy to pre-approve or anything. My number 8 is 5-minute Dungeon.
Yes. Me and Rob just like good games. Come on, guys.
I absolutely love this game. I absolutely love this game. I remember playing the first time ever of Roy's prototype that he got in to review the game, and I immediately fell in love. It's one of those games where you literally can play under 5 minutes. In fact, I think the first time I played was at Mace. We played with Roy and Doug and Trevor and like some other guy that we didn't know, just like randomly yelling at people to play with us.
Just jump in the game like a lot during that convention.
Right? Oh, it was so much fun. I probably played it 5+ times at that convention. And since then, I've played it another 10+ times with other people at other conventions. And now with the app, like even at the last Mace. And I also played it at, I played it at Dice Tower kind of stuff. It's just such a great game. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of game for 5 minutes. It's a must. Well, maybe not for you, but for me, I thoroughly enjoy it. And that is 5-minute Dungeon. I
Nice.
wish Rhino Hero would be considered a co-op game because
I
I would
know.
have put it down.
They should
Same.
make like a legit co-op version of Rhino Hero. I'm calling
Well,
Lee on the
we
phone
could
right
we
now.
could make Rhino Hero co-op like Legendary because technically Legendary, is it is a competitive game, but
Yeah,
we
but not
played the
necessarily in the
co-op
same
version.
way. But you know.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of Rhino Hero, I feel terrible, but I was like, Lee was like, "Oh, we used all the walls." I was like, "Floors aren't supposed to touch." Oh, I mean, he who shall not be named. But yeah,
Yes.
good times. Oh, what was I gonna say? Oh, my number 8 is Seventh Continent. This is a game where you're exploring around and doing all sorts of crazy stuff. It's like a survival game, but it's also like you're cursed and you're trying to figure out how to get rid of the curse. I really wish I could play this game more, but there's just so many hours you have to put into this game. But I just love the mechanics of it. I'd love to see more games with these sort of mechanics, and I would love
Yeah.
to experience Seventh Continent more, just because it's very unique. You're building out this map. You're exploring different things on the map. You're reading all sorts of different events as they come up, and you're trying to put together the pieces of the puzzle and figure out where you need to go. So Seventh Continent is definitely a very interesting survival cooperative game. It's better if you play it with less players, but like everything you do in this game is basically cooperative. Like whenever I've played it, most of the things we do is like, okay, Rob, where are we going to go? Are we going to do this or are we going to do that? Where do you want to go? Like, what direction should we do this? Okay, Trevor, hey, okay, what are we doing? This or this? Or
Yeah.
what's going on? Like, you have to, like, work together the whole time and try to figure out how to best utilize the different items you create and figuring out how to manage that action deck and make sure it doesn't fill up too much, making sure you're eating food so that it stays small, or the discard pile stays small, because if you have to flip the discard pile over and then you end up getting one of the little death curse cards out, then you just lose the game. So it's definitely a super exciting, interesting game. That's Seventh Continent.
It really is.
Cool.
Matt, number 7.
Yeah, my number 7 is a game Roy has already mentioned, Unlock.
Oh, nice. Honorably, honorably, I mentioned it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a good escape room game. It's solid. I like it better than Exit just simply because you don't have to break stuff. And I understand the point and why, but some of us have other friends that we would like to watch do things, or we can buy a game and then pass it around, even though that's probably not something that they intend on in the design, is losing sales to sharing. But it's just a really solid game. There's a lot of really subtle clues and things like that are on the cards that you really have to look for. Yeah. And you're literally just sitting there, and everybody, there's so much to do. Everybody is just trying to stare and take in things. And then so somebody might see something and they say it, and then other people are just like not paying attention at all. And then they say something, and you're like, wait a minute, what? And then you piece it together, and it has this really good, interesting feeling of success and victory whenever you're able to achieve it. So it's good.
The game of Escape I played with you and Hector was a blast, and I played with Matt and Hector. And then didn't we play one, Rob, with the mouse one?
Yes.
That was a blast as well. Like it was
with
just
the clown and the mouse.
Yeah. So it was like completely different scenarios with completely different groups, but it was still just exciting and interesting. And I felt like it's kind of interesting because like everybody kind of has little things that they put into solving the puzzles. Like there might be people that like do a lot of different things, but then it's like the one person's like thinks outside of the box in this specific way, and you're just like, wait, what? Like you said, Matt, you're like, holy crap, that's amazing.
Yeah, and like somebody says something, you're like, nah, no way that works, and then it does, and you're like, bro, that's insane. It's so good.
Nice.
It really is.
Rob, number 7.
Boom. My number 7 is one that was already mentioned again by Roy, and that is Stuffed Fables.
Oh, nice.
Here's why I love Stuffed Fables, and here's why it's jumped up for me. One, it's a fantastic game. Mm-hmm. It is aesthetically pleasing. But when my daughter comes up to me and she's like, hey, Dad, I really want to play this game again. Can we play it? And she's all excited. My wife's all excited. that immediately gets a ton of points for me.
Yeah.
I love the fact that my family can come together, we can play games together, and they're excited to play games. I'm more the gamer than my family is. I understand that and I get that. But it just melts my heart when we can all share in something that I'm passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
And so Stuffed Fables, great game. Jerry Hawthorne makes great games. Plaid Hat Games, they do a good job. And it's so family friendly. But Stuffed Fables, fun, great, cute game. And there's even a hard mode you can download the PDF for if you're playing and you don't have 5-year-old that you're playing with, and you want to make it a little bit more challenging. But my number 7 is Stuffed Fables. If you're a parent, buy it.
Yeah,
Boom.
for sure. Like, if you want to play a game with your kids, that's the one. That's where you should go.
It's such a great game to start off with, too.
I mean, I feel like a lot of times as parents, we do we play the game with the kids, and I love playing games with my kids, but mostly, like, I play the game just for the kids, you know? It's like,
yeah,
I wouldn't be playing this with my friends, you know? I'm playing this game for the kids, and Stuffed Fables is one of those games where you as an adult also get to enjoy the game, you know?
Yeah.
Cool. My number 7 is Eldritch Horror. I love Lovecraft cooperative games. Arkham Horror is one of the games that got me into the hobby, and it was kind of my first, like, learning about the whole Lovecraft mythos and things like that way back in the day. But Eldritch Horror took what Arkham Horror did and made it on a, like, globe-trotting world scale, and I've played this game a ton. I know I haven't played it that much with you guys, but I played this game a lot, and this is one of the games that, like, I've played with my dad more often. Like, me and him, like, almost every time I go to visit, we've played Eldritch Horror. When we went to the beach, we played Eldritch Horror. When he's come over here, we've played Eldritch Horror. And it's just a lot of fun creating those stories together as you're going through, trying to defeat the great old ones and trying to figure out how to grab the clues and do all the different things and figure out how to stop the great old one in different ways. One of the things I love about Eldritch Horror is that each game, you're trying to feed a great old one, but they made the game different from Arkham Horror is the fact that the great old one feels like the scenarios you come up against feel like you're fighting off that specific great old one. So, and one of the interesting things is, like, you can get tons and tons of items and upgrades to your character in this game as well. And having played it over and over again, it's just really cool to, like, grab different items and all the different things and figure out how to work those together to help you proceed and progress in the game. So Eldritch Horror, even though it's dice crazy luck fest and you're just kind of along for the ride most of the time, I definitely have a blast with it. So it's my number 7.
Yeah. My number 6 is a game that we've mentioned a bunch, but nobody has directly rattled off yet, which is Marvel Legendary. It is the cream of the crop, in my opinion, when it comes to deck building games. It is just all around solid. I mentioned a couple of reasons why I like it previously. It's just
I was almost a little worried when you're talking so good about Xenoshift. I'm like, wait, did he leave Legendary off the list?
No, Legendary is definitely there. I do like Legendary better than Xenoshift just because, you know, you actually feel like you can sort of win sometimes.
Oh, so you put it higher on your list.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just a really good game, man. Like, if you just want to bust out some crazy superhero combos, and they just keep coming out with stuff for it. So it's like, the other thing for me is it's really interesting as a guy who doesn't really read a lot of, like, traditional superhero comics. It's a good way to, like, look at things and sort of see storylines and see things you might be interested in. Because I remember Roy bought the Fear Itself expansion for Villains, and I thought the artwork in it was so cool. And I had never heard anything about it, and then ended up buying, like, that entire comic series and reading through it. And I was like, dude, this is crazy awesome. This is really neat. All just because of the artwork on the cards. So it just, man, that game's, it's good. I really want to buy it, but I don't know that I can justify that and then every expansion there is, because it's just, there's so much.
Come over, Matt. Just come over.
One day.
We will Legendary. We will Legendary like you've never seen before. I've actually had, like, I think it would be awesome, but it'd be, like, hard to set up. I want to set up a, like, poster that has, like, every single character I have and every single villain I have and every single, like, like mastermind, and then whenever we play one, we check it off and we just never play that one again, and we just do it kind of like a league almost, and it's like we have to defeat every single one of the masterminds, but we have to figure out which characters we're going to do it with. Do we waste a bunch of the Spider-Mans here? Because like Spider-Mans can do really good and wreck stuff, but if we use them, we can never use them again. So it's like, which characters are we going to use when and where and how? I think it'd be really cool, but who knows? Maybe someday.
That'd be interesting too, especially if you lined up the supervillains and like increasing levels of difficulty. Yeah. So like it got harder as it went on, or you could just artificially do that and say, you know, like you're facing Kingpin at the very end, but you give him like +10 strength or whatever, because you're like, I mean, otherwise it wouldn't really
do it artificially. Just put them in regular strength order. It's like, well, first you're fighting the Red Skull, which is like I think the weakest one, and the last one you're fighting is like Galactus and Thanos and them.
Yeah.
It's like, you might have a hard time with these medium ones if you don't use some of the better characters, but do you save them to the very end?
Yeah, man. That actually seems like a really good day. Or
There's no way we could get through it. Do you know how many masterminds there are? I mean, you're talking about months.
It'll be all right. And then we can start with villains. Just run it back.
They didn't put out nearly as much stuff for the Villains series or whatever, but I was just going to put it all together. Like, it's all together for me now. I mean, I don't keep any of that stuff separate, so. Nice.
We should do something like that, like before we go see the Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah.
Just, like, pull out, like, all those characters.
From the game? I have those characters.
From the movies, and, like, and do that battle.
Versus Thanos?
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
That would be crazy. I could actually just put all the... I mean, there's more heroes in Infinity War than there should be.
Yeah, there's a lot.
In the deck. But I could just put them all in the deck, and we just play with all of them mixed together. Who cares? I mean, we do whatever we want.
Yeah. Right?
I'd do it.
Well, here's what I love about the things that you guys were just mentioning, because Legendary made my honorable mention list, because...
You haven't played it enough?
Now, I played it a lot. I played it... Man, I started playing that game before I even moved to North Carolina.
Oh, nice.
I played that a bunch in Arkansas as well. No, but that same thing that you guys were just talking about, like leveling up and the bosses and stuff like that, my number 6 is Hogwarts, the Battle Deck Builder.
Gotcha.
Freaking love that game. In fact, I love it more than Legendary, because it does everything that you just said naturally.
Yeah.
You actually get to play a campaign, and each time you play, it gets harder, and the game naturally does it for you. And it's got like this unlock mechanism. As you defeat something, you open the new box, and you get new cards, and it gives you more abilities, and it just gets harder and harder and harder. I love that. I love that. That's one of the only gripes, because Legendary is a great game. It really is. But all the sorting, all the craziness that goes with it to try to make like what we just talked about possible, it can be a lot for people. But with this game, with Hogwarts Battle, the deck builder, it does it naturally for you. It comes in that way. It is so much fun. And yes, I'm also a big fan of the IP. I'm a big fan of Marvel as well. But I just, man, when we played the Hogwarts deck builder game, to me, it instantly, like not even halfway through the game, I was like, wow, this is already my favorite deck builder. It's just so great. And I love how and it was one of those games where like in Legendary, when you play, we have the house rule that we're all working together. But technically, that's not how the game plays.
I think it wasn't the way the game played at the beginning, but it's like...
It wasn't, because when we played it in Arkansas, and when you read the rules, there is a winner at the end. Whoever has the most villains, whoever has the most points.
Once they've gone to the later expansions, it's not like that anymore. So,
well, Hogwarts, it's not like that at all.
Right,
it's a 100% complete co-op that gets harder and scales as you scale, and is so much fun. And so I am very excited and very happy to now own Hogwarts, the battle game. So that is my number 6, Hogwarts, the Harry Potter Hogwarts battle. Boom.
Cool.
Matt, have you played that yet?
No, I haven't.
Man, I would almost like introduce it to you, and like we start like on book 4 or book 5, right? Because the first couple books are pretty easy peasy.
Yeah.
But I think you would like how it builds, and you could easily re-theme it and reskin it for Marvel or whatever universe you want. But everything that you were saying you wanted that game Legendary to do, this game does.
Well, most of mine is just so I could play through every character.
Right. Yeah.
Just because there's so much stuff, it's insane. Cool. My number 6, I'm going to talk about the caveat that we made for this list. We did talk about the fact that games with traders and things like that are cooperative. They are listed as cooperative games on Board Game Geek. So my number 6 has a hidden trader, but most everybody's playing cooperatively, and that is Shadows over Camelot. This is another game that I played first when I started in board gaming and fell in love with. And it is a game that's you can jump in and out of, and you're just, it's like, it seems super simple like the way it is. Oh, you're just trying to get like these sets of cards, but somehow the theme still shines through this game as you're like trying to fight off the different sieges as they're being built, and the Picts and Saxons are trying to invade Camelot, and you're heavily working together trying to figure out how to take care of all these quests and all these bad things that are happening without the swords turning to black, and trying to get the white swords out there. And if there's a traitor, they could trick you in the end and things like that. There's lots of exciting, interesting stuff with Shadows of Camelot, and I've had so many amazing games of it. And it's one of the few games that I've played at 7 players that like still just works great. And if one of those 7 players just wants to leave the game, they can just leave it, and the rules still allow for that. Or you're playing like 5 or 6 people, and someone shows up to your house, you can be like, deal them in, let's play Shadows over Camelot. It's kind of interesting the way that that game is balanced enough that if another player comes in or out, it keeps the game the same. So Shadows over Camelot, my number 6.
Roy's always the traitor. That was one of my honorable mentions.
Roy is the traitor.
Roy, every single time I played that game with Roy, he's the traitor, and that's the one that it hurts me the most, man, because he's such a nice traitor. He's so sweet. I just love literally,
that you
like, I
accused that one guy,
I really
you found
get upset.
out he was not a traitor, and then you're still like, but I really still want to accuse you. Again.
That one guy, that guy was terrible. And we even voted for him, and found out he wasn't, and I still said, nope, you're still the traitor. Even after looking at his card. Man, he was so terrible. But Roy, what a douche when you play that game, man.
That one was rough, because it was like...
And then when we played it again at your house, the same thing. Hey, guys, let's do this. Oh, this is fun here. And it was almost the same turnout. You won by 1. Oh, hey, guys. Yeah, well... Flip this over. Uh-oh, we have one more black sword. I guess the bad guys won. That's a me. Like, I don't know. It really makes me, like, angry with you. Like, I need to, like, deal with that. Like, that's not good for me as a person. Like, I really
it's
just
in
get, like...
game. It's not real life. Come on.
I know, but, like, in real life, I'm like, Roy, I will never, ever trust you. If the zombie apocalypse ever happens, you are not welcome in my compound. Never.
We need to go therapy, Rob.
Not right now,
Talk
man.
about
I'm
how
still too
reality's
fresh.
not
Still
the
too
same
fresh.
Still
Too
too
soon.
fresh. Years ago.
It was just
piggybacking
sick
off
burn,
of that.
sick burn.
My number 5 is a game in the same vein as that, but it's Battlestar Galactica.
Nice.
A game with it's a phenomenal cooperative game with a traitor. It is arguably one of the best. Definitely, easily top two. The amount of just stories and interplay that game creates is wild enough on its own. And I feel like most of the time you always, like, it's bleak, but you always sort of feel like you can do it up until you're like, I don't think we can anymore. This is it.
Yeah.
We just warped into a place that's got two of the big capital ships for the Cylons, and you're just like, man, this is... But, like, either way, it's always fun. It always invites super interesting interplay and table discussion, and there's all sorts of fun accusations and just back and forth. Mm-hmm. It's got a great deal of theme. One of the things I really like about it is positioning your ships out on the board and stuff. So whenever they come out, they have, different quadrants that they roll into. So you're trying to position your raptors and stuff to go out there. run around, fight off the baddies and stuff, and it's just like, oh god, it's such a good game. Like, it's complex but still sort of lightweight for what it is, and it works very well.
Boom, you have me convinced. My number 5, Battlestar Galactica.
Hey.
For everything that Matt said. It was one of the first, in fact, it was the first trader mechanic game that I ever played. That was specifically trader mechanic, in that venue. I'm a fan of the IP as well. Forget what that guy from Mace says, who likes the old stuff better. Nobody cares about his opinion. But no, it's such a fun game. I've absolutely loved every single time I've played it. And I've also loved when playing with noobs when we have to reshuffle after 10 minutes because they look way too long at their loyalty card. It's just such a great game for everything and the stress and everything that endures. And it's one of those games where it doesn't feel like 3 hours. The only time it's ever felt like a long game was when we kept on looking at the FAQ for something. And even then, it wasn't as bad as that Rising Sun game that we had at the last con. Mm-hmm. But I've absolutely loved every single game I've had of Battlestar Galactica, and it is my number 5 co-op game. And what I love also, last thing, is it's still going strong all these years later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All these years later. Besides the fact that it's like 100% out of print now and probably never coming back in.
100%. And such a great game.
I actually heard
that's when you know you have a good game.
Fantasy Flight no longer has the IP for Battlestar Galactica, so I'm pretty sure that it's not coming back in print. So hey, rush to eBay now, get all the Battlestar Galacticas you can.
If I got any expansion, I've been looking for the Pegasus expansion.
Pegasus
just because, I want those extra ships and the extra Pegasus ship.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that the one where you can space people?
Yeah, Pegasus is good because it adds another board. And some of the other stuff is okay, but I feel like Pegasus is like the one that's the best, but then you can get more. But Pegasus allows you to airlock people, which like kills that player, which is insane.
That's good.
Oh man, did we lose Rob?
Maybe.
Cool. Well, I'll go ahead and go into my number 5, which is Time Stories. This is a game where you're playing out through the cards cooperatively, trying to like go backwards and forwards in time, playing through over and over again, trying to get it in the right order so that way you can make it to the end of the mission. You have no clue what you're doing when you go into this game, and you're all cooperatively like trying to figure it out. One of the best parts about this game is that different people get to see different locations and different cards. And then you're not allowed to show the other players those cards. So you have to like relay that information to the other players so that they can actually like figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I love Time Stories just because there's so much. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm stuttering now because I'm trying to fix the overlay. Sorry, guys. But yeah, Time Stories, you get to see all these. The art is crazy in the game, and there's tons of different ones. I definitely like the first one the best. Still after all the games, honestly, the game used to be my favorite cooperative game of all time. But there's so many good cooperative games, and I feel like it's fallen a little bit for me just because I don't.
Well, it's fallen all the way to number 5.
Right, which is kind of low compared to where it used to be. I still love the game, but I'm not as enamored with it as I used to be when I first started playing it. And I really want to get and try the other missions, but I really just wish I could regain that, like, if I could like taser myself with the like ray gun thing from Men in Black and replay the first one, that would be amazing. But maybe someday. Maybe I'll forget and then I can play Time Stories again.
Yeah.
And that's my number 5.
And a solid segue into my number 4, which is Time Stories.
Nice. Hey guys, we like a lot of the same games.
Yeah, man. Time Stories is fantastic. Time Stories is a really interesting narrative experience compacted into a one-night play. if you try to bust through it really quickly like we do.
I think that's the best
it
way
can
to play
definitely
it,
span.
honestly.
Yeah, it can definitely span over multiple nights. And really, what I find to be ingenious about it is the fact that this game is entirely modular in the sense that each expansion adds something to the base game and does something that is self-contained in its own box. So you buy the base game and it sets itself up for you to add more games to it each time. And it's really interesting. It has a system to where you can literally pause. So if you played it for 4 hours and you can't, you're like, man, I'm just done. I'm tired of doing math. Screw puzzles. We'll come back to it later. You can literally set it up to where so you can just pause it, put it back in the box, come back out, and then unload it. And it is, in my mind, it's not only is a really good game with a really good and interesting narrative experience with a whole slew of expansions now that you can choose from for particular themes, if that's sort of your fancy. But it's also just one of the really good case studies to look at if you're into like trying to figure out how to design a good game or how to design games in general, because it's such an interesting radical concept from normal board games and just the way that it's developed and made. So
if I get the next story, are you guys down to try it or make it happen?
Yeah,
we get the gang back together.
The boys are back in town.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Rob, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Dead of Winter.
Oh,
absolutely love what?
I just expected that to be higher.
Yeah. I absolutely love Dead of Winter. It's such a fantastic game. The only reason why it has dropped a couple points recently is because I haven't played it in a while, but I still love it. I will always play it if it's ever offered to play. It's one of my favorite games of all time. It's a top 10 favorite of all time for me. Dead of Winter is one of those games where there is also a trader mechanic where there's the possibility, because if you have 5 people playing, there are 6 cards shuffled together, and then the 6th card not shuffled out or dealt to that person is put face down in the box, so you don't know if that's a traitor or not. So it has everybody on paranoia. It is so much fun. It's just a crazy game. I love the theme. And again, like I said last week, it's one of those games where, not knowing who Colby Dowk was, I pushed him out of the way to get to the designer of the game for his autograph. I'm a big fan of Isaac's work. But Dead of Winter, my number 4 favorite co-op of all time.
Nice. My number 4 is a game that both of you guys have just mentioned pretty much, and that is Battlestar Galactica. Like, this is one of the first games I ever played in board gaming, and honestly, it's still one of my favorite games. I'm pretty sure it's like in my top 20 of all times, and I've played it a ton of times, and it's a game that I still want to play more. I think the fact that it was slipping for me just because it was so long to play, but I played it at Dice Tower Con again this year, and it just brought it like that much higher back up for me. I mean, it never slipped very far just because I love Battlestar Galactica, but just the way this game works, and I played a game with basically like everything in the game in there. They used stuff from every single expansion, and the guys we were playing with knew the game really well, so any question we had, they could immediately answer it, and we had no looking through rule books, any of that stuff. It was just great to play. I prefer to be the humans, but when I'm the trader and mess everybody up, it's fun too. I mean, I would never do that, ever. I'm never the trader. Come on. Never a Cylon.
Always the Cylon. Even when you're not the Cylon, you're the Cylon.
I wasn't the Cylon the first half of the game, and I was rooting so hard for the whole team. And then when I became the Cylon, I was still rooting so hard for the whole team. So until the key moment when it's just like, let me just put all of my cards into this thing, because if we lose it, then the Cylons win. Oh, man, who's a Cylon? Who would do such a thing? Sorry, Sam Healy. He didn't know. He didn't know it was like... Rob's like, I hate you, Roy. I'm sorry, Rob. Anyway, Battlestar Galactica, my number 4. Definitely amazing game.
My number 3 game is a game that Rob has mentioned in honorable mentions, but that is Betrayal at House on the Hill. This game is really the game that really made me want to start playing tabletop games. It is a game that looked really cool to me, and then when I played it, it was really cool to me. And now that I've played games that are, better designed and have better polish and stuff, it still holds.
You just want to go back to Battlestar Galactica?
I mean, Battlestar Galactica is good, but like Betrayal, there's something about it, man, that just it really appeals to me in my heart of hearts, and it's like it's sort of
your first love almost,
right? Yeah, it's like it's sort of creepy. It's very interesting. The fact that it's almost has like a roguelike feel to it, where you're laying down the tiles and the house is going to be different each time, and the scenario you're in might be different, and all this stuff. It's just it's a very awesome and interesting concept. It adds replayability, and it just, I don't know, it's hard to beat, even though some of the things are poorly written and it's not designed the best. It's just, it's just
still fun.
It's like my baby, right? You're just like, well, it doesn't do math really well, but maybe I'll love it the same. It's fun.
Yeah, I think that's a great term for it.
I feel like it's also one of those things that it's almost like a B movie, where it's like, it's a little bad in places, but boy, if that doesn't make it fun for it, right, in my opinion. So I don't know.
It's your Armageddon.
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
In actuality, it's a terrible movie, but I love that movie.
Oh God, yeah. Just hearing Steven Tyler.
Man, Bruce Willis. There's no way those boys are astronauts. They are in that movie.
Hey, so, what's cheaper? You know what's cheaper than training a bunch of astronauts how to drill? Training a bunch of drillers how to be astronauts.
Like forget. Let's just throw science and physics and all this stuff out of the door. Just hey guys, put this suit on, press this button so you stay on the surface of the meteor and just drill. Okay, cool.
I remember one joke, and now this movie came out when I was still a child, so mind you, I've never had to deal with any of this, but I just remember one joke where they're doing negotiations, and like all the miners there are just like, we'll do it on one condition. And they're like, what's that? And they're like, we never have to pay taxes again for the rest of our lives.
Oh, I get it.
Like, and I was just
especially
like,
now as an adult, I'd take that deal.
But it's something that's just so out of place, right? You're like, hey man, do you want to save the world? Yeah, but we also don't want to pay taxes, bro.
Ever again.
Oh man, God. I'm missing about that.
Yes, that needs to be a T-shirt idea. Armageddon. Oh, I'd love that.
You can just hear Steven Tyler singing. I could stay awake just to hear you dream. Anywho.
I could stay awake just to hear you dreaming. Smile while you are sleeping.
Fun fact, that is the weirdest song to get on Aerosmith's Rock and Roll Roller Coaster at Universal Studios.
Yeah.
Or MGM, whichever one it is. Because it's like, you get in the roller coaster, and it's one of those like LEM launch coasters where it's just like, all right, man, 3, 2, 1, and you're going 60 miles an hour, and you're like, oh, man, this is crazy. And so you're sitting there, and they got speakers in your ears, and it's like, all right, everybody, are you ready? And you're like,
I love that ride.
3, 2, 1. And then they shoot you out, and it's like, I could stay awake. And you're just flying through a tunnel looking at neon lights, and you're like, what's happening right now?
Have you done that ride, Rob? It's awesome.
I don't do roller coasters, bro.
What?
Oh, that one you won't even notice, dude. It's in the dark.
Yeah, it's like inside.
Bro, I get scared just looking down at how tall I am. You want me to go on a...
Okay, so the thing is, it doesn't really go up. It's all inside. It's all in a building. You literally just go out, and then the first thing you do is go into a corkscrew.
Doesn't matter.
But you don't see anything because there's no lights. The only thing that you see are like these cool like neon paintings that flying by your face.
It is pretty crazy.
Last time I went on a roller coaster, I was dating my wife, and I physically was saying out loud, "Go sit down. What are you doing?" I was literally telling my, I don't know what. I know what came over me to get on the ride. I'm not going to say it on the show what came over me to get on the ride, but I was saying out loud, "Go sit down. you don't need to do this. And she's looking at me like, what's wrong? I'm like, I just don't need to be doing this. And I start shaking. I'm shaking like ferociously. And as we get locked in our seats, tears start coming down my eyes, and she feels so bad. She's like, you know what? We'll go home after this. It's okay. I'm so sorry. And my eyes are closed the whole time. So I felt like I was inside, or at least mentally. But tears were coming down my eyes. I can't bro, just thinking about it right now, my nipples are getting so hard. I can't do that.
That rock and roller coaster starts up fast, though, Matt. It just goes whoosh.
I mean, that would be fun if it did that and just stayed flat and you had like that 0 to 60.
What you don't want to do, Rob, is Tower of Terror. Because I like roller coasters and Tower of Terror. Just the fact that like you don't really know when you're about to drop, it just creeps me the crap out.
You know what's really weird?
Do you remember at freaking? No, maybe you guys weren't with me. So Kuman or Not Expo last year.
Yeah.
The hotel, the elevator in the hotel, the backside of it's open.
Oh yeah, it's real open.
I have my eyes closed the whole time while I'm facing the elevator door, and I'm just shaking. And he who shall not be named was just laughing at me, like, "Ooh, what's wrong? What's wrong?" I'm just like, "Shut up! Don't talk."
I remember when you came to our hotel room that one time, and you're just like, "Dude, I can't," because we're going over like skywalks and stuff to get to our room, and it's just open space.
Nope.
And I was just like, "Huh," and Rob was like, Nope. I was like, "Man, I did not know this about you."
Oh, bro. If you want me to be quiet, you put me on an airplane. I don't talk.
Dude, what happens when you're playing the VR? Have you played any of the VR games where you're like on a skyscraper or like on the Eiffel Tower or something?
I played VR games where I'm on like the tallest mountain in Skyrim, and I jump off. But the good thing about that game is I can feel the lazy boy in between my cheeks.
Oh, but you're not like standing up while you do it. I did VR where I was doing that, but I looked down and it was just like nothing below me, but like way down.
Yeah.
I always like there's that one VR game that they just have like a plank that's like between two really tall skyscrapers, and then they put a board down on the ground and then have the person walk across that board, so it gives you a visceral sensation while you have the goggles on, and then somebody pushes them. And
see, like people do that scenario. Oh, you would do that to go save your kids. Listen, I believe so much in my God that he can go save my kids for me, that I can stay where I'm at safe, and that he can go and he can put out the fire and my kids are safe in that building. I don't need to go across that plank. So I don't know if I'll be able to do in that situation. I would die. I would fall off. I would be the guy.
What are we at? Are we at Rob's number 3?
Sorry. Yes. My number 3 is Time Stories.
Welcome to Epic Gaming Night.
Hey, man, we are a podcast about having fun.
Exactly.
And my number 3, speaking about having fun, Time Stories. The reason why Time Stories has switched places with Dead of Winter for me is because of my wife. She absolutely has become a big fan of this franchise and the series, and we're in the process of getting more of the expansions. She absolutely loved it. We watched that TV show on Netflix about the Travelers, and she was like, "Oh, I wish there was a game like that." And we started I started to tell her about Time Stories, and she absolutely loved it. And so games that I can get my family involved in and like get them really excited about. Again, like I said earlier, where stuff Abel's jump in the charts for me because I love playing with people that I love. And so Time Stories has moved up to number 3. I'm very excited about it. And so that's my number 3, Time Stories, where you get to play all the games sitting down and not on heights.
Yeah.
Nice. My number 3 is a game that Matt already mentioned, and that is Marvel Legendary. I have tons and tons of Marvel Legendary. We talked about it a bunch already, but I just really enjoy this game. This is a game that my wife has really enjoyed and played with me a bunch. I played with these guys a bunch, and it's been a blast. And I just really enjoy the Marvel movies and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and like growing up watching the TV shows and the cartoons as a kid is just awesome to play as those characters in this game and do it cooperatively as you're trying to build up these cool combos and being like, oh man, let's do this or do that, and trying to figure out like, okay, I'm gonna take out this villain, you take out that villain. I feel like playing this cooperatively and doing it like the whole cooperative thing and trying to work stuff out can actually like work out pretty good too. Or be like, oh man, I need to take that card, okay, no, I'm gonna get this card over here, or hey, we need to get that or this or that. And oh man, just I feel like we've had a lot of good table talk when playing this game to figure out what we need to do next. So Marvel Legendary is my number 3. And they just keep coming out with stuff for this game.
Yeah.
They announced Planet Hulk for this. It's supposed to be coming out. It's the next big box game. It's going to be the biggest big box that they've put out for this so far. And people were like, oh, it's the biggest big box. Maybe they're going to end it. Maybe this is going to be the last one. And then like in the comments they're like, no, we got the fall release and then the next spring release ready, working on it already. And we're just like, what? So
hey, as long as they keep making these Avenger movies and Marvel movies, that game will still be exciting.
Yeah. And they're not slowing down at all. So, and honestly, I'm just going to keep getting them because, I mean, I feel like I need to play them before I continue to purchase them. But I'm definitely a huge fan, and I'd love to have everything for the game. So that's my number 3.
Yeah. Rolling
Number
into my
2.
number 2 is a game sort of covered by Rob, but it is the Pandemic Legacy series. I like normal Pandemic. It's okay. It's pretty good. It's not a bad game. It just doesn't necessarily make my top 10. But Pandemic Legacy, boy, hi, it does. It is a fantastic game. I have thoroughly enjoyed playing it. Still haven't progressed any farther than the last time I updated you guys in Season 2.
But you still love it.
Yeah, it's still just a really good, compelling narrative experience. It does suffer from a little bit of alpha gaming, but it still is a very good game, especially if you have the right group to sit down and hash it out.
Play that game on camera.
But yeah, I'll just leave it at that. We've talked about Pandemic Legacy a bunch. You guys,
can we do a top 10 list one time of like our top 10 favorite games and the songs that should go with their games? Because I cannot get Steven Tyler out of my head. Ever since that Armageddon, I can't get him out of my head.
Maybe it should be top 10 Steve Tyler songs to go with these 10 board games.
Music, man, music and games. To me, it goes hand in hand. That's one of the reasons why I liked how we stopped doing Twitch and other stuff. Only for the reason I like when we jam out. I like when AJ and I are jamming out to Tron and other crazy stuff, and then Hector pulls in some other crazy music, and then Matt puts in some awesome crazy anime music, and Matt and Hector and AJ within seconds. Oh, that's so and so Full Metal Alchemist, and I mean, I freaking love that, man. To me, it's just. It makes the mood so much, I don't know, more enjoyable to me rather than just your turn.
Yeah.
Your turn. I just that'd be a good top 10 list of top 10 songs for board games. I don't think anybody's ever done that before.
Do corresponding movies too. That'd be pretty.
Boom.
Play Dead of Winter and then go watch 28 Days Later.
Oh my goodness. Did you see 28 Weeks Later?
Parents? Yeah.
I like 28 Days Later better as a movie, but the intro for 28 Weeks Later is one of my favorite intros of all time. That was freaky stuff, bro.
Yeah.
But I completely understand why he did it. But it was still terrible, but I completely understand. He just left his wife. He just took off. And he's crying. Oh, it's so good. Roy, have you seen it?
I think I've seen 28 Days Later.
Just watch the first 10 minutes. The rest of the movie is it's okay. It does have Jeremy Renner in it. But the first 10 plus minutes of when they're in the farmhouse is one of my favorite movie intros of all time. It's crazy, it's scary, it's intense.
Cool.
Sorry. So
Rob, number 2.
My number 2 is another collection. But it's the Zombicide collection. I freaking love Zombicide. I love it. I love how Cool Mini or Not does not care. And if you were a cool movie or board game, they're taking your face and they're making a mini out of you, and then you get to play with that mini. How freaking awesome. I remember the first time playing Zombicide. I think it was season 2, and I was playing as Sean Connery. And He Who Shall Not Be Named was playing as Kirk Russell and a bunch of the other famous action stars at the time, and just had so much fun just busting out zombies and going crazy and just the button smashing of board gaming. We all get to work together, and you get to be silly, and you all get to make. This is that game where if you run off by yourself, it will kill you. Like when we played Mansions of Madness and Ryan ran off, you can't really do that in Zombicide. It will kill you, and I absolutely love it because I've done that multiple times and I've died multiple times, and I'm a big fan of all of them, from the first 3 seasons to the Black Plague stuff. I'm excited for the Green Horde stuff to come in, especially with the Stranger Things IP characters. I mean, they literally made those people as cartoons and put like medieval stuff on them. Cool Mini or Not does not care. Mm-hmm. They will change the name, and you're no longer Seven, but you're Blevin. And since you're Blevin, they can sell you as Blevin. I mean, it's freaking awesome.
The thing that terrifies me with their new Kickstarter is I was looking at some of the exclusives that have been unlocked and stuff like that, and like I noticed the Harrison Ford one for like the Blade Runner, like the Deckard guy. It looks like somebody got an airbrush artist to literally, and they sat him down and they said, "Hey man, draw Harrison Ford."
Yes.
And he's like,
and the mini looks like it too.
Yeah.
Yes. They don't care.
The artwork is just like, could you just take a picture of Harrison Ford's face?
Yes.
And then draw an overcoat around it.
They took a screenshot from one of the Blade Runner scenes where he's standing still, and that's what they did.
They're just getting more gratuitous with it each time. Like
they
I feel
don't
like it's
even
just
care, Matt. They don't even care.
I wonder like if it'll ever come back to them or whatever. Like if it's ever going to be like too far, they're going to be like, okay, now our lawyers.
I don't know, man. Look at that Will Smith one, because Will Smith and Harrison Ford. I mean, they literally took Will Smith and Photoshop glasses on him. Like, the Will Smith and Harrison Ford ones are crazy knockoffs. They are pictures. And the Will Smith one is definitely a picture that has Photoshop glasses. They didn't even airbrush it. They just, they took a picture of it, and they did some Instagram changes to it.
Instagram, they put the dog face on him?
Right. No, but I'm saying, like, you know how you can, like, change the tint to the picture?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they took a Will Smith picture. It's just so awesome. I love it. And the game is fun. It's a fun game. It's not one of those games where you're going to get really deep in the story. But it is one of the fun. Every single time I played that game, even when I played with Matt and Roy and all them, and we got slaughtered, we still thought it was hilarious. Now, that was probably, out of all the times I've ever played, my least favorite, right? Because like we didn't really get to play. I went too hardcore on you guys. Because we played like a super hard mission where we needed at least 6 characters, and we played with like 3 or 4.
Yeah, we put like 5 abominations in when you're supposed to have
like right
1.
from the get-go, which you're not supposed to do. But anyway, I just love it. It's great. If you ever want to play it, call me up. I have it all. What?
That's why that game is on my honorable mentions, because I don't feel like I've played it enough. I know that I like it. I know that I will enjoy it. I just haven't played it enough.
We need to play, especially when the Green Horde stuff comes in. We'll just do like a day, like a medieval day.
Yes.
But
Stranger Things fun, Day. Man. What are you talking about? We all have to play Stranger Things.
Well, I'm just saying, like the theme, like the medieval theme. But it's just, it's fun. It's silly. It's like one of those where I don't care if you're playing on your phone while we're playing the game, right? Because it doesn't take a mad genius to realize, go to the objective and kill the stuff and get out. It's like, this is the game where you're rocking out to the music while eating piles of cheese and playing the game and just having fun hanging out.
Yeah.
So, anyway, sorry.
Nice. So my number 2 is very similar to some other games on my list, but I really enjoy this theme, and that is the Arkham Horror living card game. This game is crazy with tons of story in it, but there's also a lot of stuff in this game that makes it really exciting for cooperative play as well. There's tons of cards that specifically interact with other characters and things like that, so you can work together and play the game. This game is one of the games with like the best narrative like I've ever seen, and the fact that they can do so much in just like a card game is ridiculous. So the more I've played Arkham Horror LCG, the more I love it, and I feel like for cooperative play, it's definitely super excited. I remember playing this with Rob and Hector and having a blast, and I played several times with Trevor as well, and it's just a super fun game to get to the table and play through those scenarios. It could be a little bit hard because it's got that whole scenario campaign thing, so if you're playing it cooperatively, you really have to get the same group together to keep playing with the same people, because the things you do in the past matter for things that happen in the future. So you have to play.
What game are you talking about? Sorry.
Arkham Horror LCG.
I put this as an honorable mention.
Yeah. So this is the game. I mean, it's really cool, like the way that the game works all together. And Trevor's been really getting back into it, and we've been talking about starting up the Carcosa cycle, which is the cycle's almost already completely out, but I only have the base set for it, and he only has the base set. We have the same amount of cards, so we're gonna like make this happen. So I'm super excited to play more with multiple people. I also really enjoy this game solo as well, but Arkham Horror LCG is a great cooperative game.
It was literally 10.5 for me.
Yeah.
The only reason I did not put it on my list is because I haven't played it more.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where it's like, it's fun, it's cool, I like it. But yeah, it's a good game.
Nice. All right, we're here. I think we know what mine and Rob's are. Chat. What's mine and Rob's number one? Do you guys know?
It's the one I have in honorable mentions.
Chat, let us know what everybody's number one is, because I know what they are. Does chat know, though? Let's see. Where's the guesses?
You know what Matt's number one is?
Yeah, he hasn't mentioned. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was his number one for like other stuff too. So, and he hasn't mentioned it yet.
Yeah, Blood Rage.
Or didn't you say that for like family games one time?
Yeah, I think it's a great family game. There's really no
brings the whole family together.
Hey, family of teenagers, absolutely.
Really, no better way to teach your 5-year-old about Norse mythology than to literally destroy her. But my number one would be Dead of Winter, a game that has been mentioned a couple of times on here. It is an all-around solid game with a trader mechanic. Honestly, I feel like Battlestar Galactica should have been higher on my list. And if Dead of Winter didn't exist, it would be. But Dead of Winter is such an amazing game. Just from the fact that the crossroad cards add so much tension and depth and storytelling and theme to a game that feels very bleak and cold, just like how you're, actually being in, I don't know. It's a fantastic game. If you haven't played it, you need to play it.
I almost feel bad putting Time Stories above it.
Yeah.
Like, I think once I play it again, it'll take that number 3 spot again.
Yeah.
It's such a great game. And I think it's going to be one of those games that's also like Mansions of Madness or like Battlestar Galactica, where it just won't get old. Like, Battlestar Galactica is like, we're still playing it and loving it. It made all of our top 5s. And it's been out of print for a while now. I think Dead of Winter is going to do the same. I mean, even with the new Crossroad cards games coming out, they have such like a steep hill to climb in comparison to how great Dead of Winter is. I don't know if they'll necessarily be able to achieve that, but Dead of Winter is just
and I feel like
so freaking great.
You hit on a really good point there, Rob, in that it's a game that's not really going to feel stale. So you're never going to have that thing where you have with like Euros or engine builders, where you're like, you see a card and you're like, oh yeah, that's the card. I need to get this or that. It's very sort of simplistic mechanics on top of an incredibly complex and intricate game. So it really feels just phenomenal. Like it builds tension, and then like it will release it. Like, I'll never forget that one Crossroads card with the lighthouse.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh god, what do we do? And then we went to the lighthouse and we were like, oh my god, this gave us like 3 extra turns. This is amazing. Yeah. And it's such a good feeling when you're right there on the brink of it and you either bring it back or you have the guy who just starts cackling madly at the end of the table because he's like, hey guys, guess what I won? Y'all eat it.
Yeah.
Just like, hey. What's crazy? Out of all the times we've played Dead of Winter, I have never been a betrayer.
Yes, you have. Even if you haven't, you have.
I haven't.
That's the one game Roy can't be a traitor in. Every other one, no.
I haven't.
But
actually...
you play so selfishly that you're still the the traitor, bro. Last time I played with you,
You're
and your
just
dad
saying that
Hector,
because you were the betrayer in that game, so you can't really.
you
accuse
made
me
your
of being
dad and Hector give up their stuff so you could get the win. And you're like, "Oh, guys, I don't have it." You
I
totally
didn't realize
lied.
they didn't
You're
have
such a
theirs.
terrible
What am I
person,
supposed to
Roy.
do?
You're so terrible. You're terrible, Roy.
Hey, I was just trying to help the colony do the.
No,
main
you weren't, because you
objective.
could have helped the colony.
And
you had
Rob was
everything
upset
needed.
because he was the betrayer, so it's fine. It's whatever.
Oh man, I love it. I was the betrayer, but I didn't even try to be the betrayer. The game's hard anyway. I was just trying to because I think we were introducing that game to I think it was like the first time your dad played actually.
It was, yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I'm not going to go hard or go crazy. Like let's.
We can't
let's just
half
play.
the time because you got to try to figure out how in the world you're going to make your secret objective happen. It's
Yeah.
pretty hard to do.
Yeah, but I don't try to win the first time I play. When I'm playing with new people, because you could, especially in that game, you could really wreck them if you wanted. Anyway, Roy, you're terrible. I love you anyway, but you're always the bad guy.
I've never been the betrayer in Dead of Winter, but I definitely feel like the game has betrayed me plenty of times. That game is hard.
Yeah.
Boom.
Awesome. Hey, so chat has already guessed pretty well about what mine and Rob's number one is.
Yeah, Sherlock Holmes consulting detective. Boom.
Yes.
That's it.
Actually, I wish I played Mythos Tales. That's like the Lovecraft version of Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. But I've heard that those are mostly like solo games for the most part. But I'd really like to try it because it seems interesting.
Yeah.
But no. Rob, do you want to tell everybody what mine and Rob's number one is?
Oh man, my number one and Roy's number one, easily, hands down. And I almost didn't put it on this list just because it is so much my number one. Mansions of Madness. Well, here's the thing. I wanted to I was trying to come up with not that a game is better, but I love it so much. It's I don't know. I feel sometimes like Sam Healy, how he's always which now it's changed for him. It's Blood Rage, but before it was TI4. It didn't matter. All of this was TI4. But the game is just so freaking good. I absolutely love Mansions of Madness. I'm a huge fan of the first edition. I love the second edition even more on the fact that it is completely cooperative. I think it's one of those games that it fits every single desire that I have in a board game. If we were to do the Desert Island scenario and you could only take a handful of games, that would be one of the games that I would take with me. It completes me. It's great. I love the theme behind it. And it's just, I'll let Roy talk more about it, but it's my favorite game of all time.
Yeah. I there's a lot of people that dissed Mansions of Madness first edition, and I wasn't one of those people.
I still loved it.
I knew there were flaws with setup time and stuff like that, but I had that planned out because I'd set it all up beforehand. And sometimes the keeper could kind of tear everybody down if they really wanted to, but it was still tons of fun with the theme. And I feel as far as all these Lovecraft games, I have lots of Lovecraft games on my list, but Mansions of Madness is definitely my favorite. I love the puzzles in the game. It's just so unique the way that the puzzles work in this game, as you're trying to you actually use the app, and there's puzzles you would find in other small app games in this that you have to solve to be able to open a box or pick the lock on a door, or to be able to stop the ritual that's about to start, all these sorts of crazy stuff. And there's a huge variety in the stories. Some stories you're trying to stop a monster and fight off a monster, and some stories you're trying to just run away from a riot that's going on the whole time, and some stories you're just walking around a museum asking people questions because they're dying and you have to figure out why.
That's probably one of my favorite scenarios so far.
So, and it's just crazy because it has this. It's one of the only games that's a spooky, scary game that can actually almost creep you out just because what's going on. It's got the crazy, creepy music with the app, and they took what made Mansions of Madness first edition amazing and made it zero setup time. You literally put out the first tile, set up the cards, and you're ready to go. And then the application, the fact that it builds out the map as you're going, and in some scenarios it'll take up that map and put out a new one or switch that map around. There's so much amazing stuff about Mansions of Madness, and I know it's app assisted and things like that, and some people that are board game purist or tabletop purist get upset about that sort of thing, but I love what they've done with the application in this game, and I love how there's a large set of scenarios now that you can play. So you have tons of content that you can play through if you want to be able to buy the expansion and things like that. I actually have 2 more scenarios I need to play at least, and then the new expansion is coming out like this month, I'm pretty sure, and that's going to be 2 more scenarios, so I'm going to be like 4 behind, but I definitely have played most of them multiple times. Definitely fun. I really want to see them come out with some DLC content that uses some of the older expansions, or maybe multiple expansions, which would be really cool if they're like, okay, this scenario you have to own this expansion and this expansion, or this scenario where you have to own all the expansions. Like, that sort of thing would be really cool to see how they mix up the tiles. They could just do so much with the game. It's really cool how it's really replayable too. Like,
I was about to say that. That's what I love about the app, and that's where like the board game purist, I guess, in me goes away, because it's one of those games where, like these other mystery games, once you play it, you're not done with it. You can play the same scenario, and things move and things change. And sure, the bad guy's still the cultist, sure, but it's not always in the attic, and it's not always finding this magic potion, and it's not always this. Like, I love how they put that algorithm in the app where it changes it up. Like, it just adds so much more replayability to the game.
And another cool thing is you could play that same scenario with just the base game like 5 times, and you get a bunch of different maps, and like it would change it up a little bit. But then you buy an expansion, and then those monsters from that expansion could be in that base scenario. The items that are in that expansion could be in that same scenario. So it's like, the more you buy for the game, the more options it adds in. Like, every single expansion you buy adds like new maps for like all the different scenarios. So it changes up the game the more stuff you have. I have so much stuff now. It's like, when you start a scenario, normally like the monsters will have like a theme. Like, you won't just have random monsters pop up. You'll have like the same monster
they go
pop
with
up a
the
while,
story.
and it like fits into the story. But you're never quite sure. It's like, are we going to have cultists? Are we going to have like dark druids? Are we going to have like a bunch of like Migos running around? Are we going to have like fish people? Like, what's it going to be this time when I play this scenario? So it makes it super interesting and makes the feel of the game very different each time you play. And Matt needs to play it more because he's only played it like once.
Yep. That's exactly why it's an honorable mention for me. Haven't played it enough. I know it's a good game, but I haven't played it enough to justify putting it.
Bro, Dice Tower Con, I'm just bringing games, and I'm gonna bring the iPad, and I'll bring a portable charger, and we'll play. Like, Dice Tower Con's gonna be fun. We're gonna knock out a bunch of games at Dice Tower Con.
Yeah, for sure.
At like crazy times in the night, so they're even dumber. Just like we did that one time at our first Gen Con ever, when we played Go Cuckoo till like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
Man, fun stuff.
Good time.
That was such a great trip.
Yes.
Awesome. Cool. Well, that kind of leads into our next question. Is there a cooperative game that you wish you could play that you haven't yet?
Ooh, that I haven't yet? Well, I know I've been talking in chat about Magic Maze. I still have my copy in Shrink. I've heard a lot of fun things and good things about it. You know,
I'd like to play Pandemic Legacy Season 2 to see how it looks. I'd really like to play Kingdom Death. That'd be a cool one to play.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people actually say that game's really good, and I just think there isn't as many people who have actually even played the game, just because it's the barrier to entry, aka the price point, makes it hard for people to actually get to the table. But I think that'd be an interesting one to see how that.
That's not an issue for our good friend Matt.
No,
he's got different issues. Hey man, I've been gluing miniatures together all week.
Matt is a beast, y'all.
It's it's here. My list. Oddly enough, I own 3 of these games. Well, my list is Kingdom Death, Gloomhaven, Seventh Continent, and then the last one is Agents of Smersh. I think somebody mentioned in chat a couple of weeks ago as being like Tales of the Arabian Nights, but like secret agents type of thing. And I was like, dude,
is that cooperative? Like straight up cooperative? I don't know how that.
The only reason I put it on there was because it was listed on
as
Board Game Geeks Yeah, so I was
It
just
probably
like,
is.
hey.
I literally haven't played it, so I have no clue. So
Right. I didn't either. I saw there was a copy of it that popped up on Amazon for like $46, and I should have bought it, but then I was just like, I don't know that I know enough about this game, but I should have just bought it anyway. Why does it matter? Nothing does anymore.
oh yeah, funny side
Yeah.
note, speaking of gluing together miniatures, I randomly bought a box of Warhammer 40k Necrons for almost no
Hey.
reason whatsoever. And I've been like painting and gluing them together just because I really wanted to. They were at Edward McKay's. They had them for like super cheap, and I'm just like, yes, why not? So
They have any
Yeah.
good games there?
sometimes the one in Winston actually had some cool stuff. Like, I don't know if the prices were that amazing, but they had like Smash Up. They had tons of Risk. I know you need more Risk, Rob. But they had some like good stuff that, I mean, it was just like the price was cheaper than you could get it if it wasn't used, but it wasn't like so cheap that I just had to buy it immediately.
Yeah.
Like, they had the Warhammer Quest card game, which is, I probably should have picked that up, but I didn't want to spend money. But
Speaking of miniature games, I'm so excited to get to Atlanta and try out some of this Song of Ice and Fire.
when's it coming out?
I'm going to be very disappointed if they don't have that on demo.
Oh, it better be.
It will be
play.
for press.
I mean, they did
Like
that last
Sun
year
was
with press.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're doing tournaments because it should start shipping shortly after the con, because the con's in May,
Yeah, they should have
and
it.
they're telling us we should be getting it by June.
What if it's in the swag bag?
Bro, if it's in the swag bag, I'm gonna lose my mind. I'd be so excited because I'm mad that I didn't order a second copy because I know I'm gonna want to make like a big army.
Yeah. What if they're like, we're really trying to push this? People would be mad if they gave it out to people though beforehand.
People are mad about everything. People are mad because they get to be there.
I just
I mean,
wanted.
It is a very cool mean or not thing to do, but who knows?
Well, I mean, but it makes sense. Test the market, see how much you can make off of the market, give away the game, and then make your money off of the expansions and stuff. Like, it's not a terrible marketing technique. I get it, and hey, I'm one of the ones that went pretty big on it, and I'd be happy to get my hands on it early and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll see. We'll see. But
Cool.
man, I'm excited to play that game.
Well,
I'll let you paint all those miniatures for me, Roy, if you want something to paint.
I'll
do you like
paint
to
the
paint
dragons
terrain?
for you.
Do you want to paint my big dragon when it comes in for oh man, Joan of Arc?
I might. That would actually not be that hard to paint. I mean, it would take a little while, but it wouldn't be like.
Could I give you like some color direction if I provided the paint? You did it.
What color does it need to be?
Well, I mean, I have some different ideas.
I mean, as long as you're not like saying anything too crazy, because that would make some awesome Instagram pictures.
Oh man, I'm so excited. That is a Kickstarter that I'm just like pumped for, and I love that they're putting out videos of like them playing scenarios weekly. They just did like a siege scenario.
That's crazy.
So
I'm
excited.
excited to play that because I mean I heard good things about it, but I don't know exactly how it plays. It'll be cool when it
It's
actually comes in.
huge.
I know. Ridiculous. Awesome, guys. Well, this has been our cooperative episode. Thanks, everybody in chat. We stream these Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time
And my microphone's working.
at
What?
youtube.com/Epic Gaming Night. Hey, don't jinx it, Rob. They better keep working.
Bro, 4 hours with Microsoft today. Absolutely.
You're about to go find Bill Gates and have a few words.
Give him a hug.
Hey, man, you got a lot of money.
Like, adopt me, please. I love you so much.
We do want to say thank you so much to all of our amazing patrons for helping support Epic Gaming Night and all the things we're doing over here. And if you want to support Epic Gaming Night, make sure to check it out at patreon.com/Epic Gaming Night. Also, make sure to check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Epic Gaming Night. Also, make sure to check out Favorite Game Friday and our reviews over on the Dice Tower. And if you haven't checked out the Epic Tales of Misplaced Meeples yet, make sure to check out our D&D campaign. It's on our feed and also on our YouTube. It's a lot of fun. And if you're watching this afterwards, or maybe you're listening to the audio feed and you want to check out our YouTube channel, make sure to check that out because we stream these live, which I already said. But also, if you want to be notified when we're going to be live, you can click like the little bell thing, and it should do notifications for whenever we do anything. I know some people have said, oh man, YouTube's not notifying me when you go live. Hopefully, if you do that cliche, click the bell thing, maybe you'll be notified. And we can get more people in chat, and chat is awesome. It's been awesome tonight. Everybody's great.
And also, be on the lookout for our top 10 songs list. I'm loving this idea. The Armageddon. I love that idea. I'm going to go back and listen just for that piece. That was great. The B movie, Matt. The B movie board games.
Yeah, dude.
That should be a list. The top 10 B movie board games. Like,
awesome, guys. Well, until next week, we'll see you then.
You guys are amazing.
Peace.
You touch button.